Hello and welcome to another video. Absolutely smashing them out this week. Yeah, this one's a little bit different. I'm holding off on the PS4 videos just for the moment. I thought I'd better add some variety in and do some more. I've not done a video around drawing for a bit, so this one's around the 100 head challenge. I will be continuing the PS4 collection videos. Like I say, I'm just adding a bit of variety in there. Now, I did start this a couple of weeks ago. I'm up to. The thing is with my drawing, I do get distracted very easily and draw whatever comes to mind. So, but I'm doing okay. I'm up to about 20 heads now. So what I'm gonna do is hopefully I can get through the 20 in this video, and then as I progress, I'll probably do another video on the 20 at a time and just maybe say a little bit about each one I've drawn, and if I can find the reference photos I used, because for these they're probably on my phone somewhere, to be honest, but in future I'll kind of save them and then I can kind of give a comparison. Although one thing I would say is I've watched some other videos on the 100 head challenge, and one of the artists, I remember him saying, I can't remember whose video it was, but he said along the lines of, it's more about learning how to draw the human face. So, if you don't get it exactly as it looks in the reference image, don't worry too much about that. So I've tried to keep the spirit of that as best I can. I am a bit of a perfectionist sometimes, and sometimes that can make your art a little bit stressful. But if I do a bad job of it, which there's a couple in here I'm not too happy with for various reasons, and I'll explain why. But I'll keep them. I'll keep them on there. I'm not just gonna show ones I've done badly. Well, hide ones I've done badly, should I say, and just show the ones that I feel like I've done well. Um, there's definitely some room for improvement here. Just to say before I start, um, I count myself as, I wouldn't say I'm a beginner, but I also definitely would not say I'm a pro at all. Especially when it comes to kind of this medium. I used I think for the first six I used 0.7 meter bloody hell 0.7 meter 0.7 millimeter mechanical pencil, and then what I found was that I was kind of struggling more with the kind of finer detail with the size I was drawing them, and I don't want to draw them too big because I want to fit multiple on one kind of A3 page paper. So I then started using a 0.5 millimeter pencil, which I preferred a lot more. Now I'm only using the mechanical pencil. I do have like a little smudging blending stick, which I use sparingly, and a rubber, and that's pretty much it. That's all I used. Don't really have a big set of expensive tools as far as it comes to doing pencil drawings. But like I say, it's not really my medium. I do prefer to draw digitally. So before I started this, I was a little nervous, really, of putting the pencil to the paper and making a mistake. I know you can just erase it, but I mean, you'll know if you've done it before yourself. You kind of rub out the pencils. Only so many times you can rub it out before it starts making the paper look a bit naff, and it can kind of affect the quality of your image. Although what I would say is, if I was using a better rubber and better quality paper, maybe I would get better results there. Again, in this regard, I am like pretty much a beginner. I don't have a lot of experience with the tools, so you'll have to bear with me there. Also, the other thing I'll say is the heads I used for this challenge, I didn't use the. I think if you look on Pinterest and search for 100 heads challenge, you'll find all the reference images there. I used a couple of them. I didn't use all of them, because yeah, I think I just have a really short attention span, and I have to be really interested in what I'm drawing. So what I did was I drew a few celebrities, or just things that I thought would be funny to draw, basically. I mean, one of them I actually did a dog because I was just like, oh, I'm sick of drawing faces. Um, so yeah, it's not strictly as the challenge goes. I have tried to throw a few in because as I understand it, as the challenge progresses, some of the heads near the end are more detailed, with like more wrinkles and more shadows. And I know those heads were selected specifically to kind of bring out some skills in people. So, having said that, I do feel like I will benefit from just doing this challenge, even if it's just random heads. You know, as long as there's some variety in there. So yeah. But with that being said, we'll get started. You might recognise some of these, you might not. I have made some strange selections, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, so the first one I started with here, I've written the names on actually. I've just noticed on a lot of these. In fact, I think most of them I've written the names on. The famous ones anyway, some are just random faces. This first one, maybe a bit of a boomer image, this one. There used to be a TV series called To Catch a Predator with Chris Hansen. And they used to, they'd basically like set up stings, like they have like a sting house, kind of like, they'd pose as someone younger online and then basically lure in these and get them arrested. And you'd get to see the whole painful interview as the interview, and Chris Hansen proper cross-examines him, and they get sent to jail. I think most of them got prosecuted. I watched a video recently actually where it was saying the fates of them all, and most of them are actually dead now. If I'm being honest, they're probably not the kind of people who'd be missed, but anyway, that's a whole thing. The first one I did, it's a bit of a meme image, but there was one called Jeff Sokol, and he like ordered a pizza, and he's like, Chris Hansen comes out, and he's just like, well, what are you doing here? And Jeff's just like, oh, I'm just having some pizza with my friend, and he's like, do you want a bite? And he's like offering him some of the pizza, but he's like, it's like he's trying to remain calm, knowing that his whole life is pretty much over. But he's trying to remain calm while he's being interviewed, and he's just eating this pizza while he's being interviewed. So I found a screenshot of it, and I thought, okay, I'm going to draw that because it's just hilarious to me. This was my first one actually, and I feel I did a really good job of capturing what a complete arsehole this guy is. But it looks, I got close. I was happy with, like, I can tell it's him. And I think like I captured the shape of the face, and his features well. I mean, a little bit where I drew the pizza kind of towards his mouth, it got a bit messed up and muddled. And you can see I didn't really focus too much on the hands because I thought this is more about the faces. But yeah, I feel like it's like an awkward angle where it's at. It's kind of like that 3/4 on kind of angle from the face where it's not quite from the side, it's not quite from the front. But yeah, I was really kind of, I must admit, I impressed myself with this one. So yeah, I think I did a good job with that. Yeah, maybe not the best subject in the world, but I just thought it was a funny meme. I'm gonna draw it. And yeah, but yeah, check out To Catch a Predator. Jeff Sokol. I think I might have spelt his name wrong on when I've written it there. But if you just search To Catch a Predator, you'll end up like binging it, and he's probably like one of the most famous ones. Or infamous is probably a better word. Yeah, I don't know if he's in jail now or what. Hopefully he's in jail. Yeah, next one. There was a TV show when I was younger, called That's So Raven, and I thought, I don't know why it came into my head, but I was like, oh, I'm going to draw that, and it was about this, like, God, I vaguely remember it. It was, you know, when you get like a memory of a TV show in your head, and you're like, God, I remember that show, and you kind of Google it, and I think she was like the main girl in it. She had like psychic powers. So I thought, yeah, I'll draw her because, you know, I'm going for a variety of faces. Yeah, I feel I did alright with this one. I kind of messed up the lips. The thing I've noticed is kind of the pressure you put on with the pencil. I need to kind of get better at that, knowing where to kind of draw heavier and draw lighter and apply the correct pressure. Um, you see on the lips, like I feel like I went too heavy on the lips. Um, like the ears, I just completely cocked them up. They're a bit muddy. Like with the hair, I've just been scribbling it in. Hair's another thing I do need to get better at drawing. But overall, I was quite satisfied with it. I think I should have, and like the image before that I drew, I feel like at this point when I was drawing, I was just not doing anything with the skin really in terms of highlights. There's some very mild highlights on this one. There was not much at all on the one before. But I feel like I need to add more kind of like colour to the skin. I know these are just black and white, but I feel like I need to add something rather than just the white or yellowish hue or whatever you want to call it of the paper, because if you've not got a background to it, it kind of just it just looks off, you know. To me, it does anyway. Number three, I tried to capture this guy. The more I look at it, I'm like, okay, it doesn't quite look like him, but it was supposed to be Mur from Impractical Jokers. What I found here is that for some reason I find bald people quite hard to draw. I don't know whether it's like more about the shape of the head really defines them a lot. If they've got hair on top, it's like you could almost just go, oh, third of the face is easy, I'll just draw the shape of the hair and scribble over it. You know, with the way I've been drawing hair recently anyway. So yeah, Mur was really difficult, and I rubbed that out a few times, and you can kind of tell around the chin where I've gone so heavy. And this is what I was talking about before, where you're rubbing it out too much, and you kind of, and then I draw heavier to kind of almost try and hide that fact, but it kind of does the opposite. Also his eyes, I went too heavy on his eyes. I do try and accentuate the eyes a little bit, because I feel, you know, a lot of drawings people are drawn to the eyes, especially with women, like females, because a lot of the time they might have eyeshadow on or something like that. So in that case, it's not too bad. But with the men, it's I think I need to be a little more subtle there. Other than that, you know, generally speaking, in terms of like it looking like a face and the proportions, I think I did all right. But again, I lacked on the shading, and the pressure as well in places was very uneven. Again, the chin, just like a really black heavy line. It's almost like he has like a really really thin shaven beard. So not perfect. But yeah, I was more or less happy, and again, like the hands and everything from the neck down, I kind of just scribbled in like a suggestion. But I got his expression, you know, like kind of I think I got like the cheeky smile expression, and you know, one thing you should never really forget, I learned with faces, is like there's nearly always some kind of lines or bags under the eyes, even with the kind of the more younger ones you're drawing. Like if you think about the one I did before, the Raven picture, I did put in some very very faint lines under her eyes, not immediately noticeable, but I put them there, and there'll usually be lines under and kind of over their eyes, like over the eyelids and stuff. And if you get those in, I think it does add to the expression a lot, especially with this one. I even put in like little crow's feet either side of the eye. Now they're not immediately obvious, but I feel like they say, some people say like people smile with their eyes, and it's true. It's like, especially if you think during this pandemic, sometimes you can tell someone's smiling even though they're wearing a mask, because you can see it in their eyes, you know. Not always, because sometimes I smile at people and I'm thinking they probably just think I'm staring at them. But there have been times when I've looked at someone and I know they're smiling at me without even seeing the mouth, you know. But yeah, I think it just depends on the person. But definitely with this guy, maybe it's more with older people. You see those crow's feet. But yeah, just something to kind of bear in mind, I suppose. Number 4, it's a bit of a controversial one. If you know who it is, you know who it is. uh, I'll give you a clue though. It's an actress um, of some kind of specialised film, 18 plus. And I think I captured her quite well. I didn't write her name on there, did I? No, probably best that I didn't, to be fair. Again, you can look, I went a little heavier on the eyes. I know I said I wasn't really focusing on the lower body, but then you can see there I kind of did put a little bit of effort into the boobs. But, hey ho, I thought I'd try something different. But again, with the skin, like, the skin's the same colour as the dress, or the same, I shouldn't say colour, it's the same shade. I should have either shaded in the dress, or shaded in her skin more. I feel like I did do a good job kind of around the arm to add a little bit of depth, and like where the dress meets the skin, and around a neckline. I did do a little bit there. I feel like I kind of did alright with the hair as well. I was generally quite pleased with this one. Yeah, I'll see if I can find a reference image to put next to it, and then you can kind of like compare. It probably looks like the nose is maybe a little bit too big, but that is what a nose is like. Yeah, let's swiftly moving on. Number 5, Goldberg, but as I like to call him, Oldberg. I think the reference image I used here might have been a younger version of him. I could be wrong with that. You'll see in the video anyway. It might be an older one. If it is an older one of him, I probably should have done a better job capturing how old he is, because I feel like this looks like the younger version of him. Although you can kind of see from the shape of his head, he's got both of his shoulders intact. Any wrestling fans will know that he did an injury to one of his shoulders, and now every time I see him go into the ring, it's like I can't unsee the fact that his delts are like just completely like uneven. He must have like tore a muscle or something, or had a bad injury on his shoulder. But yeah, I can't unsee it now. But anyway, back to this one. You can see I actually shaded the skin more with this one, and I did struggle with the shape of his head quite a bit. I feel like I did an okay job though, getting the shape of the skull in there. I probably could have focused more on, like, on the left side of his head. It's like I needed to show more depth and like form there to kind of show the shape of the skull. I kind of just didn't do that. It looks like his nose is a little bit bent. His nose is bent in real life. One thing I've noticed as well when drawing the lips of men, they're always like really thin. And yeah, you need to make sure you kind of show that in your drawing, and they're not too. Don't get me wrong, some men do have like thicker lips, but when they do, it's difficult to kind of not. Like when I started drawing faces, I mainly drew women, with like big lips and big eyelashes and stuff, and I kind of had this set template that I used to draw all the time, and sometimes I have to be careful because it carries over. Even when I'm drawing the men, it's like the shape of the face. I have to keep reminding myself, no, I'm drawing a bloke this time, drawing a bloke. If I'm drawing from my imagination, it's not too bad when I've got a template to look at, because I can keep kind of reminding myself and prompting myself. But yeah, I think I did an alright job with the lips there. What I tend to try and do more, and you've probably noticed it with the Mer picture, with the men's lips, I tend to just try and put more, like the actual gap where the lips meet, and obviously you'd open your mouth. I'll do like a darker line because there'd normally be shadow in there. But like the top of the lip and the bottom of the lip, I'll do like a little bit of suggested maybe shading usually, and just leave it at that. Now I actually drew the whole lips here, and I think I got away with it more because he had like a goatee, a beard, so I could kind of do that around it. And if you imagine you took that goatee away now in that image, those lips would probably look pretty weird. But I got away with it, I feel like I did a good job on the nose, capturing the shape. I'm pretty happy with the eyes, the eyebrows. Maybe could have had more detail on the brow and like the wrinkles on his forehead, because I'm pretty sure there probably were some there in the reference image. His neck's really thick, but his neck is really thick in real life, so I let myself off there. I could have probably added a bit more definition around the top of his head. It kind of gets a bit blurry. And again, it's like with the shading, when I've done the heavier shading at the side, yeah, I feel like I could have used more kind of variation in the range with the pencil. But I think I don't think it's a bad effort. I'm more or less happy with that, and I feel like it does look like him as well. But I keep saying that, like, this is it. I said earlier, like, I try and be a perfectionist, so if it doesn't look like them, I kind of see it as a failure. And it's not the case at all. It's like I said at the beginning, this is about learning. I even have to keep reminding myself that, kind of building up those what do you call them, like neural pathways in your head, to get you really used to drawing people's faces. Yeah, so next one, number 6. Yeah, I wrote the name on this one. I wrote the name on number 4 as well. I didn't notice. All right, so I guess you do know who it is. Yeah, number 6, Felicity Jones. Gosh, she had a really hard face to draw. She's got like a lemon-shaped face. People with unique shaped faces or like certain features that are bigger, like, can be quite challenging to draw. And judging the distance between like all the different features can be quite challenging. I mean, that goes for any face you draw, really. What I tend to do when I draw a face, just as a tip here, I'm not going to call it a pro tip because, like I said, I don't think I'm a pro, but I almost try to kind of forget that I'm drawing a face sometimes. This is the problem I think a lot of people do when they're drawing. If they're drawing a face, they'll think, okay, an eye looks like this. It's like, no, the eye. If you're using a reference, look at the reference. Look at the distance between the lines. Look at where the eye is in comparison to, say, the nostrils, or see where like the corner of the eye lines up with the edge of the mouth. You kind of use. You kind of use other parts of the face to reference each other, but not even just that. You break it down into lines. I did. There was an art book I had, and in this book, it gave you a picture. Didn't tell you what it was. Gave it you upside down. Just looked like a mess, and it said, "Just draw this. Draw the lines." And I was like, okay. So I do it. Didn't cheat. Didn't turn the picture around. At the end, you turn it round, and it's like some sketch Picasso did or something, and I was really close to it, and it said, like, at first you would have looked at that and said, oh, it's too detailed, I can't draw it. But when you just focus on the lines, you'd be surprised how kind of close you can kind of get to that image and realize that you can draw. It's like it's like some kind of autopilot takes over from when you're a kid. Like, oh, I'm drawing an eye, so it's round like this. And your brain goes, oh, I'm drawing a nose, so it's this shape, and this is that shape, and you try and attribute shapes to everything, and you go, oh, well, that person's got a bigger eye, so I'll just draw it bigger. It's like, yeah, but what's the shape of it? You've got to kind of, it's about looking at things and looking at the finer details, and you can go into as much detail as you want to be honest, but yeah, just actually look at what you're drawing, really look at it, and try and, if you can't get past these shapes in your head, just think of it as lines. Turn the picture upside down. Draw it that way. Draw the face upside down, just to kind of make that disconnect in your brain from just kind of creating its own perfect little face in your head. Because you can look at somebody's face quickly and then you'll try and draw it, and then you'll look back and it'll probably look nothing like it, because your brain just has this idea of what a face looks like. When you really look at the face, you realise, oh, one eye was slightly higher than the other, maybe because of the expression, or maybe that's just the way the face was. Maybe the nose is a little bit crooked, maybe the lips are thinner, fatter, things like that. Anyway, Felicity Jones, yeah. Yeah, I'm more or less happy with this. I could have done more shading on the skin. I feel like I made her hair look really greasy. That is something that I said before I need to kind of work on. Maybe I was a little bit too heavy on the eyes, but again, I can't remember if she was wearing eyeshadow or not. I think she was. The right eye, I feel like I messed up. I feel like it's trying to like just go off somewhere to the right. And it's strange because I've looked at it before and thought it was fine, and then you look at stuff a second time, a few minutes later, it's like you've got a new perspective. I don't know if you've ever done that, like you're doing a drawing, you think it's great, it's amazing, you put it down, you go have a cup of tea or whatever, you come back, oh, that's all wrong, the eyes are in the wrong place, or the head's too big, or, like, what's going on with that foot there? It kind of gives you a new perspective. And another tip as well, if you're drawing digitally, usually there's an option to flip the image. If you want to just quickly look at it with a different perspective, flip the image, and you'll probably notice things that are a little wrong. It's like your eyes get lazy and relaxed, kind of looking at the same image all the time, and you kind of need to just kind of give them a break or switch it up a bit. But yeah, anyway, back to this one. I was happy with the lips. They might look weird, like she's a bit buck tooth, but she does have like kind of little outy like teeth. She's like a little squirrel, but an attractive squirrel. Yeah, I had a bit of a crush on her, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna draw her. Like ever since I watched Rogue One, I was like, oh, she's alright. So yeah, and she's very like naturally pretty. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna draw her. So yeah, that was number 6. Do you know what? I'm going to do 10 in this video because... no way. No, I'm not. I tell a lie. I'm going to do 11. No, I'm going to do 12. I'm going to do 12. Because there's a few I do want to talk about here. So number 7. Number 7 is... this is a British TV soap. Again, it's totally random. But Little Mo from EastEnders. She's like some short, little shouty, grouchy woman. You can see the picture there. She's like shouting. I was quite happy with this. I showed it to my mum. She was like, "Oh, that's Little Mo." I was like, "Yeah, it's Little Mo." So, and it's more like, oh, I thought it'd be funny to just draw like shouting. It's variety in the faces as well, you know. Maybe went a little bit too heavy on the eyes. I feel like I did capture her age here, but I feel like I needed probably more wrinkles. But overall, I was quite happy with it. I put a note here, hair too dark. I think I probably put that because it's in the reference image, it's silvery. But if I'd have done it any lighter, I don't know if I would have struggled with a pencil. You know, there's certain looks I'm a beginner with pencil basically, so there's certain looks I'm struggling to achieve really. Yeah, put here, tried to highlight with white pencil. Yeah, so I told a lie when I talked about the tools earlier. I did buy like a white pencil because I thought, oh, I can scribble in some highlights. If I do all the skin darker, I can use that. But yeah, it didn't work. It just seemed to like muddy everything up. But I just bought like literally like a colouring pencil, so maybe I needed a more specific kind of white pencil. Because I put there muddy. I even did put more wrinkles. I tried to write some negative and positive stuff about each one as well. So I put here like better proportions from concentrating on shapes first. Yeah, so what I did there, I kind of tried a different approach rather than maybe just... Because what I usually do is start one feature and then work around it. So I might start with like the nose and the nostrils, and then I'll kind of try and size up the distance between things with this one. Because if you kind of look at the shape of a head, it's like a mouldy Tic Tac. Assuming Tic Tacs grow mould on them. They probably don't. They're probably like McDonald's meals. You can leave them for thousands of years and they don't change. No, let's say it's like a prune. So imagine like the shape of a prune. And then I kind of just drew lines out of that for like her shoulders and where I thought her scarf would be. And then again, the nose. I think what I actually did with the nose was I kind of just made it into a triangle. Because if you kind of look at like the very tip of the nose where it meets the eye and then to the nostrils, you could make a triangle out of that. And I feel like I got quite close with that because of that. So I know I was saying about shapes before. I know your brain puts things into shapes, and I was talking about it like it's not a good thing and envision things as lines, but I'm gonna kind of go back on that a little bit and say it's not always a bad thing, because sometimes you can use that to your advantage. You put the shapes in, and if you can put those shapes in and then look at the image and go, right, I think I've got everything the right size now, then you can draw within that template, and you know everything's where it needs to be. And to be honest, when everything's where it needs to be in the right size, to me that's 80% of the battle won. You'll get close to it looking like what it should look like. I mean, just going off getting things the right size. My usual issue was always around the eyes. I always drew them too big, and I had to rub them out and draw them again. And I don't know whether that's because I used to draw more like comic book style stuff, and they always had big eyes, and I was drawing the women, like you always draw the big eyes on the women, because I only ever drew beautiful women, because that's all I wanted to draw, But yeah, maybe it came from that, or maybe it's just because I think when we look at faces as human beings, we tend to focus on the eyes. It's like if I draw a drawing now, maybe the example of Little Mo isn't that good, but if you look at some of my latter ones, if you imagine me doing one eye looking in the wrong direction, it would just throw it off completely. Or if you imagine the eye slightly wonky, or one slightly to the right. Like when I mentioned it before in Felicity Jones, like her eye was kind of wandering off somewhere. You might have noticed when you notice that, you're like, oh yeah. Like if you mess up the eyes on a picture, you can kind of make or break it. It's always, for me, it's always one of the most nerve-wracking bits. But again, if you draw the shapes of them in first, make sure you get your lines right. Again, think of them as lines and shapes. But when you're thinking of them shapes, just don't think, oh, an eye is this shape. Like, look at the actual shape on the picture you're looking at, and how the lines kind of contrast to each other. Yeah, but that's what I'll say on that. I think I was going off on a tangent maybe a little bit there. Anyway, number 8. I tried with this one. It's supposed to be Bill Murray. I could have done more shading on his skin. His hair wasn't dark enough. I was really light with the pressure here. I think I was just nervous of totally ballsing it up. Yeah, his chin, like, because he's older, like he has like a lot of like loose skin around his chin and his cheeks. And I found that quite challenging to draw. His lips very thin, like bloke lips. Typical bloke lips, I guess. His eyes, I think I did a good job, but I went too heavy on them again. I could have done a better job with the nose, I think. If you notice, the ears are really big in comparison to his face. I think that's the thing with old people. They say your ears and your nose just keep growing and growing. So yeah, that's not a cock up. If I remember correctly, that is actually what they look like. Next one, number 9. This is what I was really happy with, and I look back at it there, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not so sure now. And again, I didn't vary my pressure enough with a pencil. I really should have done that. I should have gone darker in the mouth. And yeah, I went too dark at parts of the eyes. Should have done more wrinkles on the forehead. Should have shaded the skin. But yeah, it's kind of like, I'll finish it, and then there's a point where I'll say, right, it's finished, and I'll move on to the next one, or I'll never stop, because I know what I'm like, In terms of positives, though, like his teeth kind of look a bit crazy now there, but his teeth are quite, like, I wouldn't say crooked, but they're like, there's gaps in them, so I think I did okay. His bottom teeth kind of got lost in the picture there, so that's something I could have improved on. His hair, though, yeah, it's not perfect. I put in like suggestive lines there. If you look kind of how the hair comes around the sides and then down through sideburns, and he has like this little quiff thing. I feel like I got the flow of it quite well. Yeah, his nose as well. Like in the middle, if you look, I haven't really kind of suggested the shape of his nose much. You can kind of get away with that a lot of the time. You put suggestive lines in, people's brains kind of fill in the rest. I like to get the shading in there normally. With that, I missed it out, but I think maybe my confidence got me a bit there, and I thought, if I try and put this in, I'm gonna bugger it up, and it looks okay now, so I'm gonna leave it, you know. So yeah, that was that one. But all in all, it was okay. I might have another crack at Willem Dafoe. I might call him William before, but I think it's Willem. I might have another crack at Willem Dafoe at some point because he does have quite an interesting face to draw. One thing I noticed as well when I was drawing him, and you notice it more, is it when you're drawing somebody's face, you notice more the features. Like I noticed he has a really short nose. Whether it was because of his expression, he was like scrunching his face up, but I was like, oh, his nose is really short. So I kind of struggled with that a little bit, and he had a really long chin as well. Like the distance from his bottom lip to the bottom of his chin was quite long. I don't even think I captured it enough there. And he had a lot of like lines around where he was kind of like showing his expression around his mouth and his cheeks. I got most of them in there, but I think on the reference there was actually more that I could have done with that. And wherever there's more lines, there's kind of more shading I could have done as well. But I did a good job with the crow's feet. If you look under his eyes, the lines under his eyes, this is what I was talking about. The creases under the eyes and the creases over the top. I feel like I captured those quite well. And his eyebrows, I was more or less happy with that. I've not said much about eyebrows so far, but you'll notice a lot of people have very different eyebrows. Some people's eyebrows kind of meet like almost straight in the middle. Some people have like a monobrow. Some people's eyebrows seem to like cut out before they even get to say where they. Because the thing is with the eyebrows, it's like I was saying before, when you measure up against features of people's faces, I measured them up against the tear ducts. So a lot of eyebrows you might find just kind of overlap the tear, kind of go a little further in than the tear ducts. Some will stop a little bit before. Some will be about the same. I usually find that's a good way of judging. And what you'll also find as well is, depending on the expression, they're not usually straight. You know, maybe at the thinner end they're a lot further from the eye, and then at the thicker end they're closer in, or vice versa. It's things like that. But it's kind of just as you draw, kind of reassessing the difference between these different lines and objects. Number number 10. I totally balls this one up. Totally balls it up. When I was younger, I used to watch Bottom with Rick Mail. Rick Mail's a legend. Rest in peace. Bottom on the BBC. That was a British show, so you might not know it if you're not British. I don't know if it came over to America. I really struggled to kind of capture his nose here. There's an episode basically where he thinks he's the Virgin Mary, and he puts a towel over his head, and he's kind of like looking off into the distance, like he's the chosen one, because he's a virgin. So he's like, "Oh, I'm the Virgin Mary." I feel like I made his face look a little bit too fat. I'll definitely get the reference image for this one so you can compare. I added on behind it like some kind of holy symbol, because it was one I was kind of having fun with. I've kept it on there because it's not perfect. He had like a shocked expression in his eyes, and I was trying to capture that. And in the image, like you see there, the eyes, they're not symmetrical. You know, one was kind of like a slightly different shape than the other, and slightly angled differently, and that was because of the expression on his face. Because eyes aren't always symmetrical, and you have to kind of like take that into account when you draw your image. I didn't do a great job of capturing it. I struggled with like his hair as well. I think in the reference image he didn't have a lot showing a little bit because a lot of it was under the towel, and then he had just a few greasy strands. But all in all, I had fun drawing it, so yeah. But then when I did it, in contrast to that, number 11, I said I'm going to do 12. I'm actually going to do 13. But number 11 is him again. And they did like a Halloween episode where they went trick-or-treating, and he had like a devil costume on. And he basically just put this red cape on and a red hat. I also did a version of this I put on my Instagram, which I'll stick on the side as well. And all I basically did was like take a photo of the image, put it in digital drawing program, then scribble in some red just to add a bit of like pop to it. But I was quite proud of it, and it's like now my icon on Instagram. But yeah, I feel like I really nailed his expression in this. I added like quite a bit of depth to his face and his skin. I could have added more still, I would say. And when I say like I could have added more, I mean like if I was better at using the depth and the different pressures of the pencil, and more confident with it. I think a lot of it's about confidence. I could have added more, but at this stage, I'm still like, okay, I can add a bit of colour here, but I don't want to add too much because I still need it light there. Rather than be confident enough to kind of, you can look at an image and go, okay, it's light there, it's dark there, or you can go, it's light there, it's medium there, it's dark there, or you can go, it's light there, and then it's lighter there, and then it's dark there, but it's a little bit less dark there, and it's a little bit less dark there, and there's a little highlight there. It's like how far you want to go with it. But all in all, I feel like I did quite a good job. I really captured his kind of. He had like a cheeky expression. I feel like it does look like him. If I'm wrong, fair enough. But I feel like, all in all, I did a good job on that one. And that one as well, I was actually I was multitasking in work. I was talking to somebody on the phone, and then they put me on hold. So I was like, right, I'm gonna bang this one out. So I banged that one out in like, I think I was on hold for about 7 or 8 minutes. So, and for me that's really quick because I spend ages. But I think because like I was kind of almost half distracted, I was just a bit more free to draw. It's one thing I do as well with the teeth. I never draw in the lines heavy on the teeth. I feel like if you do that, it always looks goofy and wrong. Like if you look there, I basically just suggested very lightly the shape of his teeth. And then the lines between his teeth, I don't know if you can see them too well in the image, but they're so, so faint. And to me, that makes them look more real. What I could have added to it is maybe at the sides where his teeth kind of go back. I could have made them a little bit darker to show a bit of depth. But all in all, I'm happy with it really, and I'm not going to touch it any further. So I was really happy with that one. Next one, number 12. Squished the face up a bit. That's the main negative here. I feel like I pressed the head down a little bit, but it's supposed to be Gina Carano. But I feel like I did a good job. Could have shaded the skin a lot better. Definitely could have shaded the skin a lot better. Kind of looks like she's got a little bit of buck teeth there. So not perfect. I feel like my lines were pretty strong though in her face, like a little bit more confident in this one, even though it's not perfect. Her hair, you can kind of tell I've broken it up into segments and drawn it that way. She had like a really out there hairdo in this picture. Pretty sure I can get the reference image for this one. So yeah, it was. So I was like, right, I'm just gonna break it up and kind of scribble in. But if I'm being honest, I feel like I did a pretty good job with it. For the amount of time I spent on it. One thing I've noticed actually going through these that I could have done a bit more is maybe put a little bit more colour into the lips as well. Not colour, sorry, shade. Because obviously the lips, a lot of the time the lips are going to be a different colour because of lipstick or something, or just a different colour in general, like they are on most people. So that's something I could have done better. But yeah, I was quite happy with it. I still am quite happy with that. Yeah, it's not perfect. I think what I might do with some of these is I can take a picture of them, put them into a digital art program and kind of chop and change a little bit and kind of perfect them. You might call it cheating, but I enjoy doing it. And I feel like with this one, I could put some yellow into a dress. I could maybe put some colour into the hairbands, like a bit of colour on the skin. I feel like that's be a pretty good picture. And then maybe I'll put it on Instagram and tag her in and see if I can get some free clout. Actually, what you'll notice there, I didn't. Won't mention it, but I was talking about rubbing things out before and leaving a mark on the paper. I just noticed number 10. There's like a ghost of him in the background where I totally botched it up. It was really hard, that one. So, for some reason, sometimes I look at images and think, I don't know if I can do that, but then I give it a crack and I really impress myself. But then other times I think, yeah, that'll be easy, and I just can't get it. It's like, but you've got to kind of give yourself a break. I think when you feel like that, like literally and figuratively, give yourself a break, because you could come back to it the next day and you'll be fine. Sometimes it's like you're just not in that mode of thinking or that zone, and that's fine. Like, not everyone's perfect all the time. I mean, if you check some of my other videos where I'm just talking about like I did the video on no, not the depression one. It was I think there's one where I'm talking about speed dating. There's another one where I'm talking about drawing, but I'm just drawing in the background just as I go, and just to kind of give you kind of something to look at. And I looked back on them the other day, and I thought most of those pictures are pretty trash or really messy. Now, to be fair, I was just scribbling them out and colouring them, but when you draw stuff and it looks trash, like, you shouldn't be hard on yourself, because most people's stuff looks trash. I've some of the drawings I've done that I'm most proud of look like absolute trash at the start, and some of them, I'll be honest, like, it's like I drew a line and I just got lucky. Like, I was like, did I mean to do that? Well, it looks good, so I'll keep it. But I think that's kind of what art is. So yeah, don't be too hard on yourself, because you'll find a lot of the time your results do vary, and I think that's just human. It's like that. Well, I don't know if Picasso's the best, but who did? Oh, this is gonna sound really thick now. I can't remember who did the Mona Lisa. Was it like Leonardo da Vinci or something? Oh, I can't remember, but I'm sure they've done paintings before and been like, oh, scrap that, and started again. Everyone does it. So anyway, last one, and I decided I was going to go to 13, because yeah, I was really happy with this one as well. Again, I'm not perfect at shading in the skin; it's kind of white, but I got the general shape right. I did Scarlett Johansson. She had like a boyish haircut in this picture, but I feel like she's got kind of a unique face in the shape. She kind of looks like an avatar or an elf or something. So she's got like quite a good face to draw, and she's got like kind of a strong bone structure and stuff. And one thing you notice as well, when you're looking at people from the side, the cheeks come out a little bit under the eye, and then they go in, and then sometimes around the mouth it kind of like pops it a tiny bit, and then you get the chin. It's all these little nuances and bumps and things that just from drawing loads of faces at different angles, you'll kind of start getting a feel for. But obviously the size of those bumps and the length of them is going to vary from drawing to drawing. Now this one, I feel like I captured it quite well. Could have shaded the lips again, and I wrote on the side I felt like I got the eyes a little too big. Looking at it again now, I'm like, no, I think they look fine. Maybe it was in comparison to the reference image, I don't know. With the hair, I did try something different. I tried to draw it a bit more tidier than like scribbling it all in, just drawing some tidier lines, because she had her hair like gel into like thick stranded chunks. So I tried to capture that, and even though it's not perfect, I feel like the hair is probably one of the best features on there. That, and if you look, like the bridge of the nose, I kind of shaded a little bit down the side and then folded it up to around to under the eye. That's another thing as well. Under the eyes, you'll usually get a bit of shading and stuff. And if you look on a cheek, it'd be her right cheek, it's on the left hand side of the image. A very light smudge just to kind of suggest some depth for a cheek there. I feel like I kind of did an okay job with the ears as well. I've not mentioned the ears much other than on blooming Bill Murray, but and a lot of these I drew the ears quite basic, and maybe just did a few suggestion lines. That's probably something I do need to work on more, ears. They all look so different, and they're such a strange shape. But yeah, other than that, well, a neck, I feel like I shaded a neck quite well, and even though I didn't put a lot of shading on this, I feel like what I did put on was quite good. What would probably make this a little bit better is if maybe I added a little bit more depth to the background, like a little bit of shade or something to make it pop a bit more. But yeah, I was happy with that. So anyway, that is my first 13 heads. I'm talking forever, so what I'll do is once I get to, I'm on 20 now, so once I get to 20, 26, 27, I'll bang out another video, and you can see where I've gone from there. But yeah, if you like this, hit like, please subscribe. I'm going to try and do more, content around drawing as well. It's been a while since I've done a drawing video, but if I'm honest, my channel's really only just kind of taken off a little bit. Well, I say taken off is, I've got a couple of views, I've got a couple of subscribers, and I'm absolutely buzzing about it. Because before I had nothing. Now I've got something. I know somebody's watching this somewhere, so I feel a lot more motivated to kind of get on and complete these things. So yeah, much appreciated. For anyone who subscribes and hits like. I'm going to keep doing these videos. I'm going to keep trying to increase the quality of them. I'm learning how to use my video software and everything a little better every day. Other than that, thank you for taking the time to listen, especially if you listened all the way through. Because I know it's I need to start condensing these videos more. But it's all a learning curve. But yeah, thank you for listening, and hopefully when I get around to doing part 2, I'll see you there. But in the meantime, check out my other videos. I did do one other video on drawing, and I do talk about other stuff. I did one quite a long video about depression, one about speed dating, and I've got some really quick sketch videos. One of them, one with the gorilla, unfortunately it's silent because I got copyright struck for the music, even though it was fair use music, but YouTube made it so hard for me just to kind of counter the claim. I was like, whatever. For a 6-minute video, it's not like I'm monetizing anything at the moment anyway, so I was just like, yeah, whatever, I'll let it slide. So yeah, anyway, enjoy the rest of your day, and yeah, see you again soon. Bye.